So during the month of June, there have been several teams making major moves on the college football recruiting front, and one of those teams continues to be making moves, and that's the USC Trojans, something we have got to dive into today. Because coming off of another weekend where top-tier prospects were visiting the Trojans get another big-time commitment from one of the top defensive back prospects in all of high school football, and today we need to break it all down, but before we can, as always, y'all know the drill. I have got to hear from you. Hop down to the comments, give me a Y for yes or an N for no. Are you excited that Marcelles Williams chose the Trojans? And let me know what you're thinking. If you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, hit that bell notification. I do constant college football content. You don't want to miss any of it. And if you enjoyed the content, be sure to like and comment down below, as those interactions are massive to content creators such as myself. And we're on a push to 20,000 subscribers. I'd love to have you a part of this unbelievable community. But having said all that, let's jump right into this. And I want to start this off by saying something I've said several times in relation to USC. So for USC fans that have frequented the channel, I apologize in advance. Retaining Dante Williams was such a great move by Lincoln Riley. One of the best moves I think he's made in terms of coaching structure since he's been named the head coach of USC. Because Williams gets another big-time win on the trail for a top 100 prospect in the nation, as Marcelles Williams comes in as not only one of the top prospects in the state of California, where he's a top 10 prospect in the state of California, he's a top 10 defensive back in all of high school football and a top 100 player in the nation regardless of position, coming in per the 24/7 Sports Composite as the number 73 prospect in the nation. So this is a huge win. He stands 5'11" and 185 pounds per the 24/7 Sports Composite rankings. And one thing we need to understand, this is not the only four-star blue-chip defensive back that the Trojans have been able to win over. Not long ago, we sat down and talked about Dakota Fields, and what a big win that was for the Trojans. Look, at the end of the day, you cannot argue with getting blue-chip guys on the defensive side of the football, especially when everybody's going to be watching the defensive side of the football for USC, especially with the move to the Big Ten on the horizon. That's the one area people are going to be talking about, because I don't think Lincoln Riley and USC are going to have any challenge at all attracting offensive talent to the Trojans, and now they're stacking wins on the defensive side as well. And really, when we look at this USC class, it's an interesting breakdown, something I really wanted to talk about. Because if we look at this, there are 11 guys in USC's class as we currently sit here and talk about it. A class that ranks just outside the top 10, coming in at number 12 in the nation. But this breakdown is really interesting. They have two prospects that rank inside the top 300 that are coming in as tight ends, something we've talked about. If you're going to the Big Ten, you may want to embrace some of that bully ball, and beefing up the line of scrimmage is a great way to do so, especially with a play caller like Lincoln Riley. You start beefing up that line of scrimmage, you start getting into some heavy sets with athletic tight ends, you can start having mismatches all over the field, because we know what these tight ends can do nowadays. So they have two tight ends that rank as top 300 prospects in the nation. And you've heard me talk about the move that USC will make from the Pac-12 to the Big Ten several times now, and that's why I wanted to do a breakdown of how this recruiting class is going for USC, because they're recruiting in a manner that's conducive to success. They're recruiting in a manner that's there to take care of themselves for this move. And speaking of taking care of yourself, did you know that in 2022, the United States had its second worst year ever in terms of data compromises? And not only was it the second worst year in terms of data compromises, but there was a substantial amount of capital loss, coming in at $10.2 billion in 2022 alone, which is exactly why I'm so excited to talk with you all about today's sponsor, Aura. Anybody can find anything online, including your name, address, phone number, or even your relatives' information. And all of this is possible because data brokers selling your information to scammers, telemarketers, robocallers, or anybody that wants to learn more about you. But this is exactly where Aura comes in. Aura will help you identify these data brokers and submit opt-out requests on your behalf, and they will even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you use the link shown on screen and found in the description, Aura will hook it up with 2 free weeks so that you can see just how many people are after your data. Plus, Aura monitors your emails and passwords to see if they were involved in a data break and exposed on the dark web, and will give you recommendations on what to do. Aura has a VPN, a password manager, real-time credit and identity theft monitoring, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware. It truly is the one-stop shop for user protections. Plus, they offer different bundles so that you can either take care of yourself or the whole family at an awesome rate. So let Aura keep you safe. Go to the link in my description to claim your 2 free week trial and start protecting yourself online. Once again, go to aura.com/ATTS to start protecting yourself online with a 2-week free trial, link in the description. Thank you so much to Aura, and back to the video. They have 5 guys on the defensive side of the ball, including 2 top 100 defensive backs. They have 2 offensive linemen, and they have a wide receiver and an athlete. So that's a really interesting breakdown of the USC recruiting class as it currently stands with 11 prospects. If you're a USC fan, you have got to be over the moon with the work that this staff has put in on the recruiting trail and the results that they've been given. The USC class sits in a perfect place for where we are in the summer. Plenty of time in front of us, plenty of opportunity to go, but really garnering the attention of several top-tier players. And as we focus back on Marcelles Williams and why I love this addition, one of the first things that comes to mind, look where he plays his high school football. St. John Bosco. I talk about this at length. There are certain high schools, there are certain leagues around the nation that whenever you get a prospect from that league, you just feel a little bit better about their ability to make that transition more seamlessly. Because the transition from high school football to college football is a really difficult one. There's a lot of changes that go along with that. You're no longer at home with your parents. You're more self-sufficient at this point. You're trying to manage your social life that's completely changed because you're on your own now. You're in an environment surrounded by people your own age for the first time with no one really telling you what you can and can't do from a parental figure standpoint. So there's a lot of new in these players' lives. And on top of all of that, you're trying to figure out school. You're trying to figure out practice. You're trying to make the jump from practicing with high school freshmen to a guy that's been in college 5 years now and has gotten his body right in the strength and conditioning room. You're lining up against him now. There is so much new for these high school prospects that we never really talk about, and we just kind of say, oh, well, they're going to make the transition from high school football to college football without understanding. We may as well call it a different sport. It is that difficult to make that jump. But getting back on the point, why I pointed out his high school, there are certain high schools around the nation, certain leagues, where even though every point I just made about the transition from high school football to college football remains, you feel better about their ability to make that transition. IMG Academy, St. John Bosco, Modern Day, the Trinity League out there, those guys are battle-tested. They've practiced against guys that are going to play college football. They've repped in games against guys that are going to play college football. And you just feel better because they're a bit more battle-tested than a guy coming from a 3A division in the middle of Texas where that kid could be unbelievable, but now there is a legitimate massive jump between what they saw in high school competition and saw in college competition. No doubt there will be a massive jump for Marcelles Williams, but he's been in an environment that's fostered competition, something I think will be very key to his success. But I can't wait to hear from all of you. Hop down to the comments, let me know what you're thinking about this win, and let me know the win you think could come next for the Trojans. That's it. See you.